Hi everybody, I'm Tracey from Art Fibre Stitch, and here is part 3 of this interesting fabric collage we called Sheer Heaven. Here's where we left it last time, and we pretty well did the top, and we were thinking this section. Okay, so this will be part 3 of this interesting little project where we're using shears and we're layering them up. Sometimes we cut out to show us different fabrics behind. This originally started because I had a photo and some video I took one morning of a beautiful sunrise, and it was very misty and the trees were very indistinct. So that's what we're trying to produce with just these layers of different interesting sheer fabrics. We've got quite a nice build up in the sky, gone for something slightly more textural in the bottom. Now you haven't really been able to see, don't know if you can, but I started to put some of these in the last one. That's just a fly stitch underneath each other just to create a tree, and I added in a couple here just to show you what I was thinking there. I am going to start there and do a few more of those and then drag it down here. I'm going to decide what to do with this and we will finish. But part 2 showed you how this was only originally this big, this picture, and I extended it, not everywhere, just in places, to drag it outside so that it would fit nicely in that kind of picture size. So that has been the plan, and I'm going to get going. These ones here that I put in, the lilac colored ones, were very hard to see. So I'm just going to do something else there. Right, so I'll explain this again. I'm going to use this one on top, and so a fly stitch tree. Okay, needle up, needle down to the right of it, and underneath in a little V shape we do that, and we pull it out again. But I've kept this thread out of the way, so when it gets pulled, it makes a V. And then to finish it, that last stitch is like that underneath. Now they can be grasses and all kinds of things that are interesting, but if you do another one underneath it and maybe make it a bit wider, down a bit and a bit wider as you go, and back into that center again there and down, then it ends up looking like a skeletal kind of tree. And I use this a little bit because I think it looks pretty good. There we go. Can you see now what I've done? And I shall just do a few there, and see how it all peters out towards the end. That's what I want it to do. I don't want it to be a complete completely fill in all this space. I purposely added it onto this fabric because I wanted to allow bits of this fabric to show. So don't worry about perfection. Trees are just not that perfect. See how close together I did that one, and then further away. I think I would like to somehow pick out some of that as well, so I'm just going to look for something now. I'm not quite sure how to do it. That's okay. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do a little bit of seed stitch, which should work well, I think. Seed stitch is just tiny little stitches, different directions each time, but I think we can make that look a little bit more like the leaves on the trees. Like I said, it's pretty indistinct, but you know, just add a little bit, that might help the situation. This work is very abstract, or not abstract, more like an impressionist. We know what it's meant to be, or we're trying to suggest it, but we're not wanting to be too exact about it. We're not taking a photo. We are just doing an interpretation of something, and that's a really great exercise. Allows your imagination to just flow through. Now if I wanted to, I could do quite a lot there. I could go different colours, I could bring in different textures. It's just trying it to see, well, what it did. And when I do want to try something and I'm thinking I don't know if it'll work, I tend to use a colour that is pretty well the same, and then if it works, I think, oh yeah, now I can try something else. I can see there I've snipped it, but it hasn't really shown. I'm going to take some of that out. It's just meant to be areas you can look through the trees and see the sky, so it doesn't have to be very exact. Now a little bit more seed stitch just in these closer trees with a thicker thread. Now if I wanted to, I could just use different coloured little seed stitches. See how these ones are thicker and more noticeable, more colour. They're the ones to the foreground. I'd use the lighter ones on the back because they're fading into the background. Alright, so I can add loads there, I probably will, but let's get on to what we should be doing, which is this section. Remember, we're just bringing it outside the edges, so we're going to attach these bits doing that, and as we go we'll think about what we could turn these things into. Don't know what's going there yet. Something has to go there, but at the moment I'm happy just to do this. This is just some novelty yarn. I have bits of it in different colours that I have in my stash because I find it very, very useful. There's bits of it under there as well, and we'll probably end up poking some of it out so that it looks like grasses or something. And just to show you what it's like. See how grassy is that? Perfect. In fact, we'll probably use that bit, so I'll pop it there. And none of my lines are straight. They're all curvy, which I think looks better for what we're trying to do. Why don't we get our surround and have a little peek? So it's something like that. Can you see these bits? It doesn't, I want it to be that it doesn't matter, that it just looks like it's growing out into that from our central picture. So there's a lot of things I really don't mind, and I know it may upset some people, the raggediness of it, but you know, it's sort of like it's almost like a watercolor, this one, like a painting. Okay. So with this blue, I think I'll do a few more stripes of blue, and follow them back again, and that's a good one, it seems. I don't want it all to be blue, but you know, I'll give it a little. There's a few things underneath this fabric. Some of it was just to obscure this Christmas print I had here. Can you see the stars and snowflakes? So I do love this colour that was underneath it all. You see it there? It was blue shot with a bronze colour, and I really love it. So I am going to be cutting out some of these things to allow that lovely bronze through. There's some more of that bronze there, so I'll probably just plan to sculpt that over the top somehow. Let that bronze through, and maybe even bring in that bit of grass wherever we had it. I'm just pushing this up a little bit to let some of that delicious colour underneath show through. See, what I'm wanting to do is, that's a very sharp edge there. I was just trying to tease some of that fabric out to make it less so, and I thought it'd make it quite a nice background anyway to some of this lovely yarn. So I can easily, you know, couch that on perhaps. You know, next time I do a thread across, I can just make sure that I trap that down as well. what colour would I use? Now I could easily just go back to this this green again. Now I've just got a single strand there for the moment, so I don't want it to be very noticeable at the moment. I just want to tack that down a little bit. So I'll get some more and use 2 strands very soon. But in the meantime, you know, I did want it to start here because I want to obscure that edge a little bit. So I'm just going to go there. And I'm just going to make sure that I manage to do a little tiny stitch over it and under it and through that background so that it knots there. Do you see? There. And now I can feel free to do something here. And as I stitch, I can go one side of it and then I can go the other side of it, and that will trap it enough. Top side, bottom side. Top side, bottom side. Sometimes the threads, see how they've gone, that's fine. I'll let it do what it wants to do. If it wants to become trapped or have some of them bubble over or some of them go downwards, that's all good. I'm going to head down this way a bit. Because that dark colour was a little bit too dark. It's nice as a background though with this thread over top of it, this yarn. So I thought I would just lighten that up a little bit. I'm making sure that this goes through it. And at the end, I'm just going to do the same as I did to start. Just make sure I do a little stitch over that end bit to keep it there. Quite good. And can you see how I really don't think it matters? I think it's nice that we have those bits of background showing. So, yes, but originally when it was just this big, I did some of this. This is a hand-dyed thread that I've used a bit. I've used it here. It's a jade green and a purpley colour. But look how perfectly it goes there. So because I've already got those stitches there, I'm just going to do a quick pass of this one as well. And attach this in as well, I think. There. And because I do a lot of my own dyeing, it's easy enough for me to pop some threads in as I go. Now I won't put any more of that blue in because it's too much, but I will pop some green or the lilac or something in. Every time I pass through it, it takes those grasses in a more unpredictable way, so I like it. If I didn't like it, I could just tease it out with my needle again, and that's fine. Look at that, see? Some more trapped. I'm just looking to see if I could do it just a little single fly stitches out from that, and whether it would look a little bit like grasses. Still need to do something there. And here's something else I use a lot. I do look for interesting yarns. do think you can be couched on, and it could be all kinds of things, bushes, trees, lots of different things. It brightens up that bottom half a little bit, doesn't it? If we did something like that. I'm not sure how yet. You might see in my placement here how I go over bits that I might want to hide, or didn't quite turn out, or to obscure the edge, like I just pass the edge, things like that. Well, how does it look? I'm really liking it. Let's have a little closer look at some of the things we've done so far. See how those two threads, the grassy one and the bobbly one, have worked, and how they've made it look like, bushes and grasses. I think that has worked really well. I've put it in two different places, the bobbly one. In some places I've fed it underneath the holes. In some places I've bunched it up because I wanted it to hide an area. And over here I extended it a little bit beyond the edge, especially there, because that was a bit of a blunt edge, and this one here I took all the way out. So here I've done a lot more of just the fabric taking out, but down here it's some fabric and it's some stitching and it's some lovely threads, and it's all starting to come together, I think. What else have we been doing? Yes, so there's our trees that we started to do, and I quite liked that too. Well, I think we're nearly getting there. So we did trees there that worked well, and we also did some of this seed stitch. See the seed stitch there, which helped to add a bit of body there. And up here we did it in a much slimmer stitch that you can't see quite as well, but you wouldn't, because it's in the distance. So I think it's starting to really look great, and I am nearly finished, I would say. So let's pop in a few grasses, maybe a little bit more, not a lot more, because I think we're nearly done. Especially on this bit here. Just very random. And just single. But it sort of breaks that up a little bit, doesn't it? That big expanse of purple. What it's doing is, see this edge here? Yeah, doing that makes it look like it's grasses. So that's all good. That the grey is grasses as well. I wouldn't need to do a fly stitch, I could just do an ordinary stitch. But yeah, interesting. But these things seem to work best in little patches, small groupings, and balance is another thing. I've balanced it by doing a little bit of both sides. So because I've done that, I'm going to do a tiny bit here. Now, one thing I did say before, when I haven't done yet, is that I wanted to bring out some of that lovely colour underneath. I wonder if I can, if I just do something like that here. Let's just try. I'm aiming to get down to that bronze. There's the green. There's the bronze. I do love that bronze. Might do a bit here too. I'm just going to look at it now and say, is there anything that really disturbs me? Wow. You know, a few things, but nothing I can't live with. I could attach that down a bit more. I think I would like to do some more of these trees here because they seem a bit ragged on their own. So let's just pop some of them in and we'll see if that makes me feel happier. And that'll be that. You know, this has turned out to be a 3-part epic, but it really is quite pretty and I am very pleased with it. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, do press like and subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more. Thank you for watching. If you're wanting to find me anywhere else on the net, all of the links are below. Thanks again.